This is one of those times where I wish I had this all the time, but especially right now, I wish I had music licensing to where I could play a popular song that everyone knows. But because with everything that's kind of came out in the past day or so, with the FBI report being released to the senators, and right now it seems like we're one step closer to Judge Brett Kavanaugh being the next Supreme Court justice. I would have played something like Van Halen's Panama, but instead of saying Panama, I would say Kavanaugh or something like that. Yeah, I know that's weird, but but yeah, it's just something that's what I would have done. But there you go. That's a substitute into what would have been. And we also have U.S. House candidate Ron Wright with us. He is running for the 6th District out in Texas. All this on this episode of Trend Chat.
From the highways of America, here's the podcast where we talk politics, a little entertainment, some culture, and this and that, from the road to your ears. This is Trend Chat with your host, Brian Bledsoe.
And welcome to another episode of Trend Chat. I'm your host, Brian Bledsoe. And if you want to connect with us, we're on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or Snapchat. It's all the same name, at Trend Chat 24/7. And you know what? I mean, can you believe what just happened in the past day or so? So we have, because of Jeff Flake, he wanted this FBI investigation to go on for this week to, look into the allegations behind that was alleged for Judge Brett Kavanaugh, right? And wouldn't you know it, another FBI investigation, which is the 7th, right? And they did another investigation, and you would not believe what they found. It is shocking. They found absolutely nothing. Yeah, I can't believe it. Yet a 7th FBI investigation, and they found and nothing again. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they have to do it. Maybe an 8th. Maybe an 8th will do it. Maybe they'll find something then. A 9th or 10th. Well, I mean, hey, let the Democrats tell it. We'll be going to 100 with this. So, but yeah, the senators got the report and found there was nothing there. So, yeah, thanks for wasting our time for another week. And thanks to Jeff Flake for wasting the FBI's time again. So, like I said, but we are, like I said, one step closer. We're not there yet because now we have the vote, which is scheduled for Saturday. Anything can happen between me recording this right now and Saturday. So, yeah. Who knows? The Democrats might have something tomorrow or tonight that try to. I'm pretty sure they're scheming it up right now, whatever it is. But yeah, so, and not only that, if nothing else comes out, then we have to vote, and that's not a guarantee. Especially with Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Jeff Flake, those Republicans, those in particular, who knows? I mean, they might say that because of the investigation, they feel confident to vote yes now. Who knows? But like I said, like in the last episode, they're the flakes of the Senate. And like I said, they're led by Jeff Flake. So I don't know. Who knows? By Saturday, he could be confirmed. He could not be. And next week we'll be talking about that. But I'm not going to be talking that much about next week because I have more pressing issues to talk about next week, which I'll talk about later in the episode. But it's just crazy that we're still waiting at this point. And on everything that was going on with the, like I said, the FBI report now. And look, this is not over, for one. I mean, you've had the Democrats talking about throwing ice. For that, the fact they're talking about ice. I mean, at first they were talking about abolishing ice, but now they're talking about throwing ice. So, anything they can think of to try to slow this down, to try to delay this one more day. And one more day they can delay it. Maybe they can get it past the midterms. And like I said, they're hoping to win control of both houses. Now, another reason why I will say this is never going to be over, at least anytime soon, for the Democrats, because it's a very good chance that the Democrats could win the House. Not so much the Senate, but it's a good chance they could win the House. And if they win the House, then President Trump is mentioning it, and others as well. I'm pretty sure one of the first things they're going to do is write up articles of impeachment and basically just slow down Congress to a halt, for the most part, by basically being obstructionists. They'll be the obstructionists, but they won't be called that by the media. They will not be called obstructionists if Democrats take over the House and just basically do everything to try to stall any conservative policy of Republican, the Republican agenda, whatnot. The media won't call them obstructionists. No, there'll be the resistance. There'll be heroes of democracy, or whatever high-minded terms they would use to make them look like heroes. So, but none of this could happen. If you're listening right now, none of this could happen if conservatives, Republicans get out and vote. They can, actually keep control of both houses. And I'll also say, if they keep control of both houses, maybe they actually do something more than what they've been doing the past 2 years. That's a thought. And, yeah, they could have done more, but they just haven't, especially with the control that they had. They still have it, but like I said, I feel like that it's more of a 60-40 chance that Democrats will take over. Don't want that to happen, but that's where we may be. And like I said, then it will never be over, because then we'll have all these they'll be passing all sorts of bills and everything. And they'll be totally unified in their votes. They'll all vote the same way. Meanwhile, when, the past 2 years when Republicans had the control, you couldn't really get anything like that done, mainly because of the establishment so much not wanting anything to do with conservatives and try to always push them out for some reason. But hopefully, with our guest that we'll have later on, Ron Wright, maybe we'll have some more principled conservatives up in Washington to get some better policies in the House, given that Republicans still control the House as well. So now another thing that was a story yesterday was, so last week during the hearings, some of the members of the Senate, I think it was just the Senate, that had their private information released on the internet for a short period of time, but it was enough. It's enough for somebody to get it, right? Because there are plenty of people out there just waiting to find little information to get anything on in their minds. Their enemies, and somebody decided to release this information, and so someone was arrested and linked to that, and the person was an intern for Texas representative, for Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, representative down in the Houston area, which is not surprising. I've been surprised if it would have been a Republican staffer. Like, really? But yeah, not surprised that you had this happen. Now, it's somewhat surprising that they would release this information. I mean, but that's how desperate they are. And that's how frightened and threatened they feel by this administration. And I keep bringing this up in other episodes as well. Like, I just will say this again. If the left feels so frightened and threatened like they say they are by this administration, it shouldn't surprise anyone for them to do anything, but by any means necessary to #resist this administration. So something like this, it wasn't that surprising to me, because like I'm saying, episode by episode, I keep saying, I feel like they're going to do anything they can because they feel like the world is at stake by doing anything to thwart the Trump agenda in there, whatever. So that is about it. And I don't want to get too much more into it. I got some other things I want to talk about. Actually, I want to talk about a couple of movies, actually, that are one that is coming out this week, and also one that's coming up, I guess, in a couple of months. I don't know. I didn't really look into it, but I want to talk about these two. So before we get to that, let's hear a word from our friends with the Founder Project.
Hello, Trend Chat listeners. If you like the Founding Project's Civics Education video series, Civics for All Ages, and our educational meme series, we think you will love our new website. Join us at thefoundingproject.com and be a part of the civics movement. The Founding Project is a 501c3 education nonprofit. Please join us today.
Hey, what's up? This is Kaya Jones, and you're listening to me here at Trend Chat.
So, like I mentioned, I wanted to mention about this particular movie that I saw a trailer for today, actually. I've heard about it, but I actually finally saw the trailer for it, and the movie is called Vice. And I didn't even know what it was about. I remember that I heard about a movie being made about Vice President Dick Cheney. I remember hearing about it, but I guess when I saw it, I just saw the word vice, and I was like, are they talking about addictions or vice? The actual word, the definition of vice. But yeah, so I saw it, and one thing that I noticed, well, let me say, I didn't notice until I saw I saw it at the end, is that, one, I forgot that Christian Bale is playing Dick Cheney. And so the first scene in this trailer is Sam Rockwell, who was playing George Bush, and Christian Bale playing Dick Cheney. And they're talking about, George Bush is basically trying to convince Dick Cheney to become his vice president. And so while he's talking, I'm looking at him, I'm like, who is that? But I'm in my mind, like, he looks familiar. But then again, he's like so much bigger. But and like I said, then the trailer went through, and then at the end it showed, say, Christian Bale as Dick Cheney. I forgot about that. Then I had to rewind it back. I'm like, hold up, that's Christian Bale. And they're like, wow, yeah, that is him. And then noticing that he looked like he's gained all this weight. And I don't know if you don't know, Christian Bale is like one of these actors where he really gets into a film. He goes, I guess, I don't know what you call it, like a method actor, where he goes to extreme lengths to really become the character in a way. And he did a movie called The Machinist a while back, where he lost all this weight, like an unhealthy amount of weight, to play this role. And in this, it's the exact opposite. So he's got a gut and all that. And I'm thinking to myself, like, did he gain all that weight? Because that's an unhealthy amount of weight the other way. And I'm also thinking, like, why? I mean, prosthetics and the makeup that they do in Hollywood is top notch. He doesn't have to do this. I don't know if he did it or not. I don't know. But if he did, like, he could have just put a fat suit on or whatever. But anyway, that being said, this, the movie itself is just another typical liberal caricature of Republicans disguised as truth and highlighting every negative aspect about Dick Cheney, which I'm pretty sure there are some, but they're going to focus on all of that and just make sure everyone knows how evil and despicable Dick Cheney is. I'm pretty sure. I mean, well, for one, because you have Adam McKay as the director, and he is one of the most, I guess, outspoken and pretty much vicious leftists out there in Hollywood. So I'm pretty sure this movie is going to be like straight down the middle, fair and very unbiased. I mean, coming from Adam McKay, who basically hates Republicans, especially conservatives, but it doesn't matter to him. It doesn't matter to any of these, liberals. They don't care about whether someone's a conservative or a Republican. Just being a Republican is enough for them to hate them. They hate they hate Republicans. So I know a lot of times we tend to get kind of go back and forth as conservatives and say, like, well, not all Republicans are conservatives. I'm like, in their eyes, they can care less. It's all Republicans equals evil in their eyes. That's it. Doesn't matter if there are the most rhino of Republicans out there or the most conservative. So, but one thing I was thinking about is that it would be kind of funny if McKay turns out Gordon geckoing, I guess, Dick Cheney in a way. If you don't know what that means, the movie Wall Street, where Gordon Gekko was basically looked at as a hero in a way out of that movie. But I don't think that's going to happen. Because in Wall Street, he was supposed to be, viewed as the villain. Oliver Stone, he's the one who directed the Wall Street, and he hates capitalism, and he made Gordon Gekko look like this ultra capitalist. And from that, he was actually he was looked at positively because of that, and to the dismay of Oliver Stone. And I feel like McKay might turn around and do this to Dick Cheney, where people might watch this and think, actually turn out liking Dick Cheney more because of this. But I don't think so. I think Adam McKay is going to make sure that Dick Cheney is as reprehensible as possible, so you will not think that. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he have him kicking puppies or something. I don't know. But yeah, he's gonna make him look as bad as possible. And then also, the critics are gonna say, "Oh, what a great film! What a movie! What a commentary on speaking truth to power Adam McKay has done in this just great movie. Let's get it 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's give it an Oscar or whatever." And so that's pretty much what's going to happen. So now, speaking of movies, so this weekend, the movie Venom comes out, which is, if you don't know, and if you don't know, how dare you not know? But Venom is basically, in my opinion, I think he is the arch nemesis. Well, I don't want to get all nerdy on you, but okay. But the arch nemesis of Spider-Man. It's either him or Dr. Octopus. Brian, don't go down it. I feel myself about to go down that trail and want to start talking about Spider-Man. No. Okay, look, yeah, Venom. so they're making a movie just about Venom, and I don't know. I haven't seen the film. Apparently, Spider-Man's not in it at all. I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he has a cameo. I don't know. But it's not looking good. So those same critics I was talking about in Rotten Tomatoes giving that movie Vice 100%. Right now it's like they giving this thing like a 20. Like they giving it an F. They think it's horrible. I saw one review talking about it's like Catwoman bad. And if you don't know about Catwoman, don't worry about it. You ain't missed nothing. And the only people who like Catwoman is my dad. And Mom, if you listen to this, and Dad, if you listen to this, yes, that's true. You are the only one who likes Catwoman. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'll probably turn out watching it, catching it sometime this weekend. Well, it depends. I also I want to watch UFC on Saturday, so I don't know. Maybe I get around to it this week. But another thing I was thinking about, I feel like I think there are like two reasons why the critics are not really in love with this film. And I think when it came out that the movie was going to be PG-13, I think that left a sour taste in a lot of people, in a lot of people's mind, to where they, it's just another superhero movie, even though it's about a villain. And actually, I kind of understand that, because for the longest time, it was saying that this movie was going to be a rated R. And actually, I could understand that. He is a villain after all, so I wouldn't be surprised that it would be an R-rated movie. The upcoming Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix is next year. I'm pretty sure that's going to. I guarantee that. If I can guarantee anything, the Joker movie that comes out next year with Joaquin Phoenix is going to be an R-rated movie. I can 100% guarantee. Not only the fact that because he is a villain, but also because of people who are behind it. Because Martin Scorsese is producing, and if you don't know who Martin Scorsese is, I can't do nothing for you. The guy, as far as I won't say The Godfather, but like Casino, The Departed, and Wolf of Wall Street, F words abound. It's when it comes to Martin Scorsese. So, and not only him, and then the director is Todd Phillips, who also did the Hangover movies. So all the debauchery of the Hangover. So you got those two together. So like I said, I'm 100% that it's going to be a R-rated film. So back to Venom. I think the fact that it wasn't a R-rated film kind of upset some people, because they wanted more gore. They wanted to be, I guess in their eyes, like they want things to be more realistic. So the more profane and vulgar something is, it tends to be considered more real or whatever. But obviously that's not going to have this, because it's a PG-13 film. So you have that, and also I kind of feel like people are just kind of wanting to just trash anything that's not Marvel in a way. That's just speculation, but I feel like whether it's DC and even though this is a Marvel character, but it's done by Sony, so it's not actually done by Marvel Studios, and I feel like everyone's just like enamored with Marvel Studios, and rightfully so. Don't get me wrong. Look, I did 3 episodes about the Avengers. So yeah, I love what Marvel Studios is doing. Can't wait for Avengers 4. Can't wait to actually find out what the title is going to be. But anyway, I like Marvel Studios too, but I feel like people are kind of taking sides to where, like, if it's not Marvel Studios, especially anything that has to do with any sort of superhero nonsense, they're going to trash it. Like I said, whether it's DC or anyone that even trying to do something, Marvel Studios has set such a high standard, and I feel like people are just a lot of critics are just not even giving these other films any chance to succeed, and they're just like looking at it, like they'll watch it and like, nah, this ain't Marvel, and just dismiss it. So, I think we're gonna have another superhero movie with DC's Aquaman, which comes out in December. So we'll see with that. Even though it seems like they're kind of breaking away from all the dark, gloomy, setting that a lot of the DC films have been, kind of like Justice League and Batman vs Superman and Man of Steel, which films I liked, but they were darker looking, of a darker look, and Aquaman tends to be a little more brighter. So maybe that might help, and maybe that might change the fortunes of DC, and maybe get some respect from the critics at least. So that's all I had on that. And right now we're gonna get to our interview with Ron Wright. But first, let's hear a word from Politichicks, and after that, right into our interview. Hello, this is Brian Bledsoe, host of Trend Chat, also contributor at Politichicks.com. Here to tell you about the new book called Politichicks, A Clarion Call to Political Activism, with over 300 pages from contributors like myself, talking about topics such as education, social issues, healthcare, the Second Amendment, and of course, activism. I encourage you all to check it out at Politichicks.com, and is also available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
This is Trend Chat.
Hello, this is Trend Chat, and we are pleased to have Ron Wright with us. He is running for U.S. Congress in the 6th District in Texas. How you doing, Ron?
Doing great, Brian. Thanks for having me on the program.
So, well, one thing I'm particularly happy to speak with you, because this is a race that is in the House, so I don't have to talk about anything that had to do with Judge Brett Kavanaugh, because so I can totally avoid that for a couple of minutes at least. But
sure,
I guess with the focus on the Kavanaugh, drama in the Senate, one thing that kind of flew under the radar is a lot of spending. And in the past couple of weeks, Congress has passed another huge spending bill. And the first question I want to ask is, what do you think of all this spending, and what do you plan to do when you get to Washington?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because that's an issue I'm very passionate about. I've talked a lot about it in the last several months. We've done real well with the tax cuts and those kinds of things, but if we don't address the spending side of this, our country is in a lot of trouble. $21 trillion debt, $800 billion deficit for 1 year. Next year it's going to be over $1 trillion. And even the most powerful economy in the world cannot sustain that kind of debt and those kind of deficits. And the interest on the debt is now about 6.8% of the total federal budget. And compare that with all the money we spend on foreign relations. That includes things like UN dues and even some of the military stuff we do. And all of our foreign relations budget is only 1% of the budget. So we've got to have the courage to stand up and say, we're going to start doing this right. We got to go back to regular order. We have to go back to actually passing a budget, which has been years since that happened. We've got to stop these ridiculous CRs, the continuing resolutions to keep the government running, and the omnibus bills that are just huge and nobody knows what's in them when they vote on it. The way we fund the federal government is just insane, and it's got to stop.
And also, not only that the spending is the atrocious part of it, but also on top of that, there are no conservative policies that are part of these bills, because it just seems like it's just this huge spending bill going towards who knows what.
Right. I think, Congress has kind of proven that it's incapable of governing itself when it comes to spending money. I believe we need to go back to trying to pass a balanced budget amendment with a tax limitation component. I believe that's a viable alternative to what we're doing now. It's going to be hard to do, but the main thing, Brian, is we need to elect people that will go to Congress and will do the right thing, and we'll say enough of this. We're going to do this right, or we're not going to do it at all. And go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I just think that a balanced budget amendment would work, and it would force Congress to do its job and actually pass a budget, which it hasn't done in years. It would require any money that is budgeted to go through an authorizing committee and be authorized, so that you can't have these last-minute omnibus bills where people slip things in and for their pet projects or whatever, and nobody knows what's in it. We've got to be more disciplined, and this is it doesn't seem to matter who's in charge. Republicans, and I have to take my own party to task for this, have been just like Democrats when it comes to passing these kinds of measures. We cannot afford to continue to pile up the debt. We need to be leaving our grandchildren opportunity, not more debt. And so we've got to get our act together and start conducting business on the spending side that's responsible and disciplined. Otherwise, our grandchildren are going to have to face the bill for this.
Yeah, and also speaking of children, and also taking the Republican Party to task, is another aspect of this is that it continues to fund Planned Parenthood as well, and
which is an outrage.
Yeah, and what I want to ask you is, what do we need to do? Because right now, Republicans are holding the majority in both houses as of right now. So, but yet we're still funding Planned Parenthood. So what do we need to do to finally stop doing this and continue to fund Planned Parenthood, time and time again?
Yeah, let's first establish the fact that not every Republican is a conservative.
True.
Now, every Democrat is a liberal, but not every Republican's a conservative. And but there is a majority of pro-life Republicans, and we need to do what we say we're going to do. And the Republican Party has been promising this for years, that we're going to defund Planned Parenthood. The president's behind it. He's all for defunding Planned Parenthood. One of the problems that we have, quite frankly, is we can get things done. We can get things done in the House and not be able to get it passed in the Senate. That's one of the problems. But there is no justification whatsoever for American tax dollars going to the largest provider of abortions in the United States. There's no justification for that.
When it comes to this particular bill, there's other things as well that are very troubling. But one thing I want to ask as well is, I know you have heard of the Freedom Caucus, especially down in Texas. You have the Texas House Freedom Caucus down in Texas. So at the House Freedom Caucus up in D.C., do you, I guess, see yourself maybe joining them, or at least?
I do. In D.C., one has to be invited to join the Freedom Caucus. I believe I will be invited. Right now, I'll tell you, I'm inclined to say yes, but before I make a final decision, I want to sit down with their leadership, Mark Meadows, and talk about tactics and things like that. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of the Freedom Caucus has, I believe, earned a reputation that's not deserved in terms of just being disruptive of the process. What they're doing is they're standing on principle, and they're trying to do some of the things that I'm talking about, is forcing the Congress to do the right thing when it comes to spending bills and those kinds of things. But they can be very confrontational with other members sometimes, and that makes people angry. But the Freedom Caucus, like any caucus, is a group of like-minded people that agree on an agenda for the country that they want to move forward. So I can tell you that philosophically, I'm there. I'm absolutely there with the Freedom Caucus.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm like I said, I'm pretty sure that they would invite you and it, much needed help up there as far as having more principled conservatives in D.C. Now, one thing I want to ask is, well, how's the campaign going so far?
Well, it's going great. We're still ahead in the polls, and we're still fundraising. We're doing all the things we need to do. We've got a great ground game. We're walking and knocking on doors. We had a team of 50 people out weekend before last, and then we had a rainy weekend. We lost, but then we were back at it this past weekend, and we're knocking on as many doors as we can. We're going to be calling people to remind them to get to the polls. I've got a mail campaign that I'm going to start up. It'll start up right before early voting. People will start seeing my mailers again, and that's going to help draw some distinctions between me and my opponent, who's very liberal and would be completely wrong for Texas and for the country. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'll tell you this: our polling indicates, and this may be the only time in my life I ever get to say it, but I'm out polling Ted Cruz and the president right now. So that may be the only time I ever get to say that. But no, it's looking pretty good for us. We're not on the hit list for the national Democrats, and it's still considered a safe Republican seat.
Yeah, one of the things is, when it comes to campaign and on social media and whatnot, we tend to use a lot of hashtags to try to get the word out. And I know one hashtag is like back the bow tie, which I saw. And one thing I wanted to ask you, like what is the background behind the bow tie? I mean, there's some significance for it.
Well, let me tell you what happened there. I've worn straight ties all my life, and 7 years ago, my daughter got married, and I just decided on a whim that I was going to buy the bow tie that I had to tie myself, a real tie. And so I did, and a young man at Joseph A. Banks taught me how to tie it, and so I did, and I tied it, and I wore it to the wedding, and then I wore it a couple of times at work, and then I didn't wear it again for a long time, and then my wife one day said, I don't really like you in a bow tie. Well, that's all it took. I immediately went down and bought 6 more bow ties and started wearing them every day. And the thing I like about a bow tie, there's 2 things. One, it's kind of distinguishing because not a whole lot of people wear them. But the other thing is they never get in the way. And my straight tie was constantly in the way. I mean, I would dip it in coffee and all kinds of stuff. So, but no, I really like the look of it. And so it's kind of become a trademark for me. And so when I decided to run for Congress, that was one way to distinguish me from the rest of the pack was I was the only guy wearing a bow tie.
Okay.
It takes a bold man to wear one, let me tell you.
Especially if one to actually know how to tie one. Especially.
That's right. That's right. I never wear a clip-on tie.
So now, well, you have any upcoming events?
I have a couple in Arlington this week, fundraising events. I'm all over the district. Last week Monday night I was in Corsicana. Tuesday I was in Italy for a function down in Ellis County. And by the way, there are no Italian restaurants in Italy. Not one. There is a barbecue joint, but no Italian restaurants. And then I had an event in Fort Worth. We're all over the district, and we're doing stuff in Ellis County, in Navarro County, and as well as Tarrant. 60% of the district is Tarrant County. That's the population base. About 30% of it is Ellis, and 10% is Navarro. But they're all important, and I want to win all 3 counties.
Okay. Well, these are all the questions I have, but I want to give you the opportunity for anyone that may be listening that if you want to tell people more or something else and to let them, give them ideas why to vote for Ron Wright.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that opportunity. This campaign's about principally two things above all else, and that is protection of life and liberty, life from the moment of conception to natural death, and liberty, including religious liberty, that seems to be under assault everywhere, because without liberty, we don't have a country. And I want to leave for my grandchildren a country as great as the one I enjoy today. And I want to go. I'm not going to be there long. I've self-imposed in terms of term limits. I want to go up there, do the right thing, try and do some positive things for America, and come home. I'm by far the most experienced candidate. I served 8 years on the Arlington City Council. I've been the county tax assessor for 7.5 years. I was the district director and then chief of staff for the current congressman. So I have district experience and Washington, D.C. experience that's very hard to come by. So I can hit the ground running in January. And I really ask for everyone's vote, everyone's consideration. We need to keep a Republican majority, because if we lose the House, the agenda stops. The Trump agenda stops. The regulatory reforms stop. All the good things he's doing in terms of national security and foreign policy stop. And the Democrats, if they win control, will go right into impeachment hearings, and that will just be horrible for this country. So I hope everybody votes Republican all the way down the ballot. This will be the last year in Texas where you can vote straight party. And I think it's very important to get as many people out to vote as possible. But I really appreciate the opportunity to be on your show, Brian.
Well, you know what? I'm sold. And I've looked through the endorsements. You're endorsed by Texas Right to Life, Texans for Fiscal Responsibility, Senator Conor Burton, and it goes and on and on. And as precinct chair of 2553 in Arlington, Texas, I give my formal endorsement to Ron Wright for Congress.
Well, God bless you. God bless you. I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
So how can people get in touch with you, whether through website and social media?
Yeah, we have a website, Right for Congress. And then her email is ron4congress@gmail.com. And would love to hear from people. Would love everybody's support. We're looking for, obviously, donations. Everybody wants that, and as well as volunteers. And again, thank you for having me on the program. I'm real accessible, very easy to get a hold of.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks a lot, Brian.
Yeah, man. Thanks to Ron for joining us. And, well, we're almost at the end. I do want to mention before we finish that, UFC 229 coming up. Khabib, I'm not even going to try to say his last name, and Conor McGregor. And, I guess I'm just going to mention about the last one. I think Khabib is going to win. And if I was going to pick how, I think he's going to win by submission. Now I think that's what's going to happen. Now I think maybe Conor may knock him out, but yeah, that's my pick. My pick is Khabib by submission, and he's going to, retain the championship. So I appreciate everyone listening. Next week, actually, I can mention it right now. Next week is basically going to be kind of like a Gosnell week. So the premiere of the Gosnell movie is on October 12th, and we're going to have Alfonso Rachel, who played in the movie, and also Emily Cook as well is going to be on all next week. So Tuesday and Thursday, we're going to have those two guests on, and I hope y'all come back to listen. And until next week, we'll chat with you later.